The phoenix within, rising from the ashes of panic. Caleb was a 23-year-old who felt as if he were living in a world of perpetual shadows. The sun would shine brightly outside, but within him, an unsettling darkness loomed. For as long as he could remember, anxiety had been a familiar companion. However, it wasn't until a fateful afternoon at a bustling cafe that his life changed forever. Sipping coffee with friends, laughter echoing around him, Caleb suddenly felt a wave of terror wash over him. His heart raced, and the room began to spin. It felt as though the walls were closing in, squeezing the air from his lungs. Panic surged like a tidal wave, crashing over him and leaving him gasping for breath. He couldn't understand what was happening, why this perfectly normal moment had turned into a nightmare. His friends looked on, concern etched on their faces, but all he could hear was the pounding of his heart, drowning out everything else. That day marked the beginning of a tumultuous journey. In the weeks that followed, Caleb found himself ensnared in the relentless grip of panic disorder. The once simple act of stepping outside felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss below. He avoided crowded places, public transportation, and even outings with friends, fearing another attack would strike without warning. Each day felt like a battle, and Caleb withdrew into himself, spiraling into isolation. His laughter faded, replaced by a constant knot of tension in his chest. Even in the safety of his home, he felt trapped, as if the walls were closing in around him. The fear of fear itself became his prison, and he longed for the freedom to live without the looming shadow of panic. One evening, as he sat on the floor of his dimly lit apartment, flipping through an old photo album filled with memories of happier times, Caleb stumbled upon a picture of his grandfather. The man had been a fireman, a real-life hero who faced flames without hesitation. There was something about the way his grandfather's eyes sparkled with courage that resonated with him. Inspired, Caleb recalled the stories his grandfather had told him about, overcoming fear stories of bravery, resilience, and the triumph of the human spirit. In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited within him. Maybe, just maybe, he could find a way to confront his fears. Determined to reclaim his life, he decided to seek help. He enrolled in a community support group for individuals struggling with anxiety and panic disorders, where he found solace in sharing his experiences with others who understood his plight. The first meeting was daunting. Caleb entered the room, heart racing, scanning the faces of strangers who, like him, wore the scars of anxiety. But as he listened to their stories, each unique, yet painfully familiar, something within him shifted. He realized he was not alone in his battle. Each person in that room had faced their own monsters, and together they formed a circle of support, a haven where vulnerability was welcomed. Over the following weeks, Caleb learned invaluable coping strategies. Guided by a compassionate mentor named Sarah, who had her own story of triumph over panic, he discovered breathing exercises that calmed his racing heart and grounded techniques that pulled him back from the edge of anxiety. They practiced visualization, imagining a safe space filled with warmth and light, where panic held no power. In time, the meetings became a sanctuary for Caleb. He formed bonds with others who shared similar struggles, and as they supported one another, he began to recognize the strength within himself. One day, Sarah suggested they venture outside together to face the very fears that had once paralyzed him. The thought sent chills down his spine, but the idea of facing his fears with friends by his side was a glimmer of hope. Together, they ventured to the local park, where the sun shone brightly and laughter filled the air. With each step, Caleb felt the knot of fear tightening in his chest, but he pushed forward, drawing strength from the presence of his newfound friends. As they sat on a bench overlooking a vibrant playground, Caleb felt the familiar waves of panic beginning to rise. But this time, he remembered Sarah's teachings. He closed his eyes, inhaling deeply, picturing his safe space filled with warmth and light. He visualized the sun shining down upon him, wrapping him in comfort. Slowly, he exhaled, releasing the tension that threatened to consume him. Moments later, he opened his eyes, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. Instead of running from his fear, he faced it head-on. The children's laughter, the rustling of leaves, the sun's warmth, all of it grounded him in the present moment. For the first time in months, he felt a sense of freedom. As weeks turned into months, Caleb continued to embrace challenges he once avoided. He started to take small steps toward reclaiming his life, exploring new places, meeting friends, and even taking a cooking class. Each experience brought its own set of challenges. But with the tools he had acquired and the support of his community, he felt empowered to face them. Through his journey, Caleb learned that panic disorder didn't define him. It was a part of his story, yes, but not the entirety of it. He discovered resilience in vulnerability and strength in seeking help. In time, the panic that once consumed him transformed into a source of understanding, a reminder of his capacity to rise. Like a phoenix from the ashes of fear,